Hey, it's me, the Bright Queen, Quinsensitivity. And I already feel like this is gonna like irritate me. I feel like it's like not centered, but it's okay. I was gonna get on here and like be in like a really like lighthearted mood, and don't get me wrong, like the vibes are like still lifted, but these are more serious messages I feel about love, and I don't plan these things, but for some reason it's been like knock knock knock, hey girl, it's about that time, like you need to hop on that thing and like start recording. So here I am, and hopefully it is received well and appreciated by, if nobody else, myself, because I watch these. I'm first being called to like discuss the name the Bright Queen. It's something that's been like floating around in like the ether, the background for a while for me to share, so I'm gonna share it. And for some reason I feel like you need to see like my chest, like my heart today, so that's what we'll do. Nothing scandalous. Jeez Louise. Okay, so basically I was in China and I was trying to have OBEs. I was very focused on that, and my very few days off I would lie for hours and hours, still in my bed, attempting out-of-body experiences. And one day I had like a vision sort of thing, and a friend came. I didn't know this person, and I still don't know this person like personally, but they came and they like reached out their hand to me. They were like, come on, let's go. And we like flew off, and I saw like all this stuff like about a rocket. I've said all this before, but I feel like a lot of stuff can get like lost in the content and stuff, so I'm saying it again. So like rockets and like multiple other things. Now that I'm thinking about it, like it makes sense now why I was shown these things, because at first it just seemed random, but eventually my friend like left, and I found myself at this beach in California that I had went to. And it's so crazy because like I went on 2 trips the year that I went to California. I went to California, obviously, in Puerto Rico. I went to 2 beaches like within like 3 or 4 months, and I got license plates from both trips, like the little tourist license plates, and I just now like put them back up in my room. When I cleaned my room, I put them back up, and so I'm now like seeing the license plates now. So this is what I always say about like time and how it's not linear, because like the events that happened then are like, they're significant now. Like the significance of them, those trips, are like really like hitting me now. Anyways, that was like a beach that I saw, but it was like in black and white almost. Pretty sure the water was like black. Now that I'm remembering, the details are kind of fuzzy, but I should still have like the thing that I wrote about it. I can just repost it, so that's what I'll do in my community page or my community post tab on here on YouTube. But anyways, just know there was water, and it was not blue, it was like inverted black and white water. And then like a little far back from the shore, there was like this bridge thing, but it wasn't for walking, oddly enough. Like it was just like structural, I don't know what to make of that, and it had like these arches, and inside the arches was like water would like rain down, and it stopped, like it was like timed. And now that I'm thinking about that with what I know now, I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of see like why this is making sense. And then like past that bridge structure thing with the arches was this king, and he was sitting on the throne, and his skin was completely black, like the black like my shirt. Maybe that's why I'm wearing this now. And I don't believe he said anything to me, which happens quite often in like these different experiences that I have, it's always telepathic. I just know what they mean. But he just looked at me, I think, and just was like, or like, I don't know. Anyways, after that, I think I like got up or something, or the next day I got up and I recorded a video on YouTube. I'm in like a white dress, and I think I'm talking about the angel number 44, or either it's the video where I'm talking about I'm happy that you're here, something like that. The lighting in that video looks super weird because the lights in that apartment were like on the ceiling, and so like my face looks really weird, but I was normal. I assure you. And I was very high vibrational, and I think either before or right after that video, I felt and I saw like this same king in my room. I'm gonna close my window. But this time his skin was like purple, and look, I didn't even do that on purpose. I just was like, I want to wear these today. But look at that, purple. It was like I think like a more of a lavender purple though, but it was definitely purple. And he was standing right there, like right here, like in my room. It's funny how like a lot of the times when I sense beings, they're always on this side of me. Like they're rarely on this side. I wonder why that is. It's so interesting. Like they're always here. Huh. Anyways, and this time he had on like this outfit. It was all made of gold, and it was like something like warriors wear, but like casually. It's hard to describe. I saw a picture on it, like of it, like somewhere. But you know, like what's it called? Not the movie 300, but the other one. The one that just came out with Denzel Washington and that other guy. I don't know, like the Spartans and stuff, like that, like type of clothing, but it was like all gold. It was like a tunic. It was sleeveless, and he had like the skirt thing on too. All gold. He looked very cool. And I'll never forget, on his head was a crown, and it was the gold, obviously, and it was like a big ring, because it was like flat, like a big masculine ring, but like on a crown, and it was shifting. Like the pieces of like the crown were like moving around, like in a circular motion, like shift. And then like, I'll never forget, a few weeks or the next week or something after that, I was on Instagram and I came across this Black woman who's from Alabama. I am also from Alabama. And she was talking about how she was actually indigenous to the land and how they hide that, which is interesting because I've been like thinking about that a lot recently, like as in recently, like yesterday, I just was thinking about like Native Americans, and even today I got my Native American tarot deck out. But I followed her from that, and I think a few weeks after that, she posted on her story this ring that she was selling, and it moved, like the pieces, you could like slide the pieces like horizontally to the side. So I was like, oh look, wasn't crazy, I was like onto something. Anyways, when he was in my room and his skin was purple, and I feel like I was told that like the reason there was like the skin change was like based on like the mood or like the position or role or whatever that being was in. And I like felt like something, I was like, this was the thought process that was in my brain. I was like, why am I like surrounded by kings? Like, why does this king keep following me around? And I heard or like thought, and it was like, if you are surrounded by like a king, like if you're around a king, specifically like a black king, you must be the bright queen. And that's where it came from. It was this very like deep, extraordinary experience. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm the bright queen. And I really like the idea now that I have like 3 names, and even now like the spelling of my own like government name has like shifted. And I usually don't like talking about like these specific things, but I feel now that it's it must be important because I want to. But basically, my whole life, on my birth certificate, they kind of spelled my name wrong. It was without an apostrophe, and I didn't know that until I got old enough to create my own bank account. But even then, I just kind of ignored it and just kept using the name that my mother taught me how to spell it and how to write it until I moved to China. And because everything had to be very official with all the documents and stuff, and based on how your name is written on your birth certificate, I was like forced to get used to the different like spelling of my name. And now I'm like okay with it. And so it's like after this whole experience, there's been like this kind of rebirth almost twice over with like my spiritual self. My spiritual channel went from Queen Sensitivity, which in itself was born out of like pain. I felt extremely isolated and alone, and I felt like nobody was talking about what I wanted to talk about, and nobody was helping me. So I created a space to help myself and other people like me. That's what Queen Sensitivity was about. I shifted from that energy to being chosen by myself, honestly, to like the Bright Queen. And then like my government name got changed as well to its original, really, but you know what I mean? But it did shift. So it was like this rebirth in my name twice over. And as we know, everything is in a name. I'm hearing now, and I heard recently that like it's not a coincidence that back in the day or whatever, people used to be named after what they did, like Hunter or Goodman or Farmer, like the last name Farmer, and like things like that. Like it's after what they did. Like that was on purpose, and there is meaning and truth still in that, and the fact that we choose our names. And I'm feeling now to like continue these messages in regards to love, in terms of like piggybacking, segueing all those business terms into the fact that we like choose our names. A dear friend of mine put me on to this random guy, I guess he's not random, on YouTube that like is like really into astrology. And I believe I mentioned this recently, and I'm sorry if I like confuse the two. I feel like I confuse astrology and astronomy sometimes, but I'm pretty sure it's astrology. And he's really into like birth charts and stuff. And I watched like some of his videos, like my Chiron placement, all these things that I always like avoided. I really wasn't too interested in them because I felt like I don't like the idea of like people having to like learn certain things in order to access something. And I felt like astrology was like, what's it called? Like coveted. And then I also didn't like the idea. I know there's a lot of distortion in like all of these things. And so I was like, there's no point in me digging in because of all the distortion. But when I watched his videos, I found them to be extremely accurate. And I remember going back and reporting to my friend who had shared this account with me that like psychology will tell you like who you are who you are because of like your parents, you know, like that whole psychological debate of like nature versus nurture. They'll like psychologists and stuff, scientists will say it's because of like your DNA or chemicals and shit. And then like astronomers or astrologists, I don't know the words, will say it's because of like your birth chart or whatever. And I'm like, but our soul says like we chose this, right? And I like that idea or that truth better, because if you look into like the gematria, that that like sacred number science, I'm not really sure how to describe it. I'm not well versed in these like words or fields, so you'll just have to bear with me and just pick up on what you know that I mean. But basically you get into it like your name adds up to like your life path number, and like the way like you were born on a certain date, and like that time these things were happening. And it's almost as if like you put in like a code to like print out you like exactly how you wanted yourself to be. And if you think about it like that, like all the personality traits and the wounds that I have and the gifts that I have were it's like the way that I was thinking about it is like we are bodies of water. And when I was in college, which keeps coming up because there's this cup here of the college I went to. All of these things like just happened to be just placed just so. I wrote this body of poetry, which I haven't done in a while, but it was called Bodies of Water because that idea was really sticking with me, that we're like made out of water. And so water is formless without a container. It just flows. And so we had to have a container. And if you think about it in that way, you can kind of think about like all the people in your life that have influenced you are like the pressure or like on that clay container, that molding. Like clay needs to have like the pressure to mold it basically into the perfect shape. And so like your soul is like the water that gets poured in there. And so if you like think in this way, then it's like a lot to be grateful for. The people in your life who have brought you joy and brought you pain and all the different myriad of emotions in between, because really they gifted you like what you were aiming to be. And I feel like in this, I am like missing a lot of things in terms of like how I'm explaining it. And I feel like there's a lot of like wiggle room for arguments or even misunderstanding. But I know, because I have been brewing on this for a while, that the core of what I'm saying is in alignment with love. Okay? So I think I would just leave it at that. Yes. And I think we'll just move on to other stuff. So, something that I'm nervous about sharing this. Give me a moment. But I had to be reminded of like why it's important to share this. So something that always stuck out to me with Darius J. Wright, I watched one of his interviews, and he was saying how like he was brought to his knees when he had like a quick life review sort of thing, where he saw the areas in his life where he was withholding love, and that brought him down to his knees in pain. And he said it's the worst pain he's ever felt, when he realized where he was intentionally, like knowingly withholding love from, you know, himself and others, brought him to his knees. I had that moment, and I fear that it was only like a 10% of the moment that he was talking about. But I had a moment like that, surprisingly, earlier this week, and I was brought to my knees. Literally, I just spit. With the pain of the realization of what I was doing, and I knew I was doing it. And so I pass this message along to you because it is indeed important. It is time to clean house. This is also something that was brought up in my graduation video, Messages from Beyond the Veil, the graduation one, that one. I talk about how like this is the end, so to speak, for lack of better terms. It's really the beginning, but it's, you know, it's the end. And so these moments here, like at the end of this experience of this life, will be like the most like remembered, is how I was feeling it. And so like at the time when I was mentioning it, I was like so happy and enjoy. But then somebody told me the same thing that I said in a different way, and it like really shifted me. It really like nailed home like that, like you will be like judging yourself, like you will be facing yourself, like at the conclusion of all of this, you will have to look. And especially at this time, if you've been like more expanded in your consciousness and you are aware, because it's different when you are not aware. But if you are aware and you've been doing certain things, you will have to look back at what you've done. I'm going to end this first part here because I feel like I want to get into like some messages from the cards. So, and the second part won't be long behind, it won't be far behind. But thank you so much for watching, and subscribe if you want to, and all those things. And yeah, I got some stuff to say. See you in part 2.